Okay, it was just a small technical error. So welcome to our today's lesson, agriculture lesson. So we're just going to look some question on revision. The first question I given you was you are supposed to state uh, main categories of parasites. Main categories of parasites. So in main categories of parasites, first the first question that you are supposed to ask yourself, what is a parasite? So when you talk about a parasite, it's just an organism that depends on another and more for it to survive. So we have two categories of parasite. Category number one, we have internal parasite, which can also be called known as ectoparasites. And the other category, we have internal parasite, which can be also known as endoparasites. So these parasites will depend on other organisms for them to survive. An example of these parasites, we have external parasites, we have, for example, ticks, fleas. Those one will depend on other animal for them to survive. So internal parasite, we have hookworms. For them to survive, they have to depend on another animal. Question number two was state four importances of water treatment. Why should we treat water? For number one, reason as to why we treat water. One, to kill disease causing microorganisms. To remove chemical impurities. The other one was to remove small smells and bad taste. So when you treat water, it will have that good smell. And then to remove sentiments of solid particles. So those are the main reasons as why we treat water. So failure to treat water, we find some people complaining about stomachache. So some diseases we get from water. So it is good to treat drinking water. The other question number three, mention three major causes of water, major sources of water on the farm. Water on the farm. Where do we get water in the farm? One, sources where we can get water during farming. Source, we have number one, we have surface water, we also have groundwater, and we also have rain water. So surface water is where the water that we collect from surface ground after it rains. The water will remain there. There we can have water to use in our irrigation. So we also have groundwater. So in groundwater, this one is found in large bodies like rivers and also oceans. We also have rainwater. We all know about rainwater. So those are the main sources of water in the farm. So number four, you are supposed to state four ways in which nitrogen is removed from the atmosphere. State four ways in which nitrogen is removed from the atmosphere. One, nitrogen fixation by lightning. Two, we have nitrogen fixation by nitrogen fixing bacteria. We also have nitrification, and then we also have the Haber-Bosch process. So those are some of the ways in which nitrogen is removed from the atmosphere. The other question was, say the intermediate host of the following parasites. The intermediate host of the following parasites. So when we talk the intermediate host, for example, tapeworm. Tapeworm also is the animal that will get that disease that we are talking about. So the intermediate also tapeworm is what? Is the cattle or pig. So tapeworm will be found in cattle and pigs. So we have another disease or a parasite. It's all states liver flu. A disease called as liver flu, which is bound we can get in freshwater snails. So that is the host of liver flu. And the other question was state three forms of soil formation. State three forms of soil formation. The first is superficial, capillaries, and hygroscopic. So, in hygroscopic, this is just the ability to absorb moisture from the air. Those are the different types of what? Forms of soil water. I've said we have superficial, capillary, and hygroscopic. The other question was stage 4 vector-borne diseases affecting farm animals. Vector-borne diseases affecting farm animals. So, vector-borne diseases had that result from an infection transmission to human and other animal by blood feeding. So these are diseases that we get through a bite. You can be bitten by a tick. So those are what we call what? A disease transmission. When you you got a bite from what? A mosquito. Those are vector-borne diseases. So this disease that we say that the disease that result from an infection transmission to human and the other animals by blood feeding. And the question is, stage 4 vector-borne disease affecting farm animals. And I've just explained what is a vector-borne disease. And then vector-borne disease, number 1, we have East Coast fever, we have red water, we have anaplasmosis, we have heart water, we have trypanosomiasis. Those are 4 main vector-borne diseases affecting farm animals. I've said vector-borne diseases are diseases that we get from a bite from another. For example, we get malaria when we are bitten by a mosquito. Those are vector-borne diseases. And then the other question was, say the plants parts used for vegetation propagation in the following plants. Vegetation propagation in the following plants. In the main keyword there is vegetative propagation. So this one, when you talk about vegetative propagation, it's whereby this one we don't use pollination method. This one we get part of the plant. For example, suckers. These suckers are going to be used to plant, to get the new plant in the nursery. So, we have suckers and tubers. These are mostly used in vegetative propagation. The question was, state the plant part used for vegetative propagation in the following plants. First, we have parenthrum. When we want to plant parenthrum, we just plant a part of the plant known as a splits. When we want to, the other one was sisal. When we want to plant a sisal, we use it what? Suckers. Suckers are these mini, small parts of the sisal that we get, then we use them to plant to get the sisal. So, suckers, we also have the bubbles. So these are types of vegetative propagation. And the other plant was tea. When we want to plant tea, we use the cuttings. So we don't use seeds to plant those type of plants. I've seen inside, so we use suckers. In paragraph, we use splits. And in tea, we use what? Cutting. So then the last was pineapples. We use crowns or suckers. So those are types of vegetative propagation. And number 9, the question was state 4 pests commonly found in tomatoes. We all know tomatoes. So every plant has got different types of diseases or pests that affect it. So in tomatoes, we have American bollworm, we have cutworms, we also have red spider mites, and we have nematodes. So those are pests commonly found in tomatoes. I've said American bollworms, cutworms, red spider mites, nematodes. Those are pests that we find them in tomatoes. So we have the other question, which is question number 10. Stage N4 post-harvest practices in crop production. Stage N4 post-harvest practices in crop production. So 1, we have dusting. We also have packaging. We also have sorting and grading. We also have clearing, drying, and processing. So these are ways that you can use to in harvesting. Stage N4 post-harvest practices in crop production. Practice number 1, I've said threshing or shellings, dusting, packaging, sorting and grading. We also have clearing, drying, and processing. So those are practices that we do in post-harvest. So the last question, you are taught to differentiate between cell texture and cell structure. Cell texture and cell structure. In cell texture, this is the fineness or coarseness of soil. When you touch the soil, how do you feel it? Is it rough? Is it smooth? So that's what we call what? Soil texture. The fineness or coarseness of soil. That is soil texture. So we have the other one was soil structure. This is the physical appearance of soil according to the way individual soil particles are arranged. Soil structure, physical appearance of soil according to the way individual soil particles are arranged. So those are different types of soil or definition, difference between soil texture and soil structure. And then we can call it a day till next time. I can't see any question. So if you have question, you can leave it in your comments or you pass your question through our WhatsApp group.
I have a question.